January 21st, 2016. Dear Diary, I went to a workshop called Tools to Empower Women Farmers today. The speaker was talking about cheese making when a woman walked in, sat in the back, and started breastfeeding her infant. I kept looking back and forth between this woman and the speaker. Am I the only one seeing a connection? If we think a baby should be fed by their mother, shouldn't we think the same thing about cows feeding their calves? Why is it so normal to drink the milk of a different species well into adulthood, but it's so taboo to breastfeed in public? Is dairy proof that society doesn't know what breasts are for? If everyone's drinking milk all the time, why is it special when a woman produces it? Lactation is an intimate act that bonds a mother and baby. Who are we to reduce that to just another food product? In fact, can anyone even be a feminist and still enjoy dairy? Flash forward to back at Evergreen. I still have these questions, and I plan to answer them. So, I read books. A lot of books. I interview relevant people. My goal is to gain perspective, ultimately to change my mind, to make peace with dairy. I know that that's not a good practice for a research project, so I try to look at everything objectively. But in the back of my mind, I want to accept dairy and breastfeeding together. I want them to exist simultaneously without one being a threat to another. The battle between what I want and what is true is a perfect example of what I found through research and through life. It is difficult to have two opposites at once. It is an either-or, emotion or logic, family or career, man or woman, happiness or realness, professionalism or morality, ourselves or otherness. In Women's Conflicts About Eating and Sexuality by Meadow and Weiss, they claim, as seen in eating disorders, women give up food to be more attractive. Food versus sex. In The Gastronomical Me by M.F.K. Fisher, the protagonist's favorite cook turned out to be a murderer, killing her own mother with the very knife she uses to prepare meals. Delicious food can and is produced unethically, morals or pleasure. Sarah McCarthy, who operates Dungeness Valley Creamery, said living on a dairy farm made her feel like she was doing a poor job of being a mom when she couldn't produce enough milk for her sons. Dairy or breastfeeding? Terroir is about variation. There are so many opinions and experiences about this topic, it being so soft of a science. I recorded my own terroir by keeping a journal and putting a link to it in my website. Terroir is also about place. This place is the theoretical point where these two subjects, dairy and women's studies, meet at the intersection. This project was so fun, but then there were times when I thought, why am I doing this? Why do I keep torturing myself by taking the very things that frustrate me and putting them in front of my face and forcing myself to look at them? At the end of the day, I had to be true to myself. There are universal forces in constant opposition to each other. I had to pick dairy or breastfeeding, and I chose breastfeeding. I never ended up accepting dairy, but I am okay with that. After the talk at Eco Farm that day, I boldly walked up to the speaker and told her about these thoughts. "You're asking the right questions," she told me. She didn't have an answer for me. That was something I needed to find for myself.